David King, one of the upsets of the season last night, where the Richmond Football Club, who had won one game and rested Dustin Martin, came into Adelaide and knocked off the Crows at home. What were your first thoughts when you watched the footy last night?
Well, going into the game, when you look at the ins, I was concerned that Taranto and Prestia, if they went crazy in the middle of the ground, and Bolton you can throw into that mix as well, their ins looked very strong. I know that Martin was going out of the side, and you can talk about the form of the Tigers over the previous few weeks, but they were pretty good against Geelong last week for 2.5 quarters. I did expect the Crows at home. It's difficult to travel and win, particularly with young teams. They won the game in a 15-minute space. And when they got them a clearance at the start of that third quarter, there was no coming back from that for the Crows. And they basically just tried to kill the clock after that, which was a risk because we'd seen that run aground with Sam Mitchell's efforts against Port Adelaide. But in the end, it's that 15-minute burst where they kicked 5 goals from 9 inside 50 entries and made the back shoulder Crows defensive 6 look second rate.
Yeah, so it was a terrific performance from Richmond because they'd been competitive the last 2 weeks, as you said, but they had petered out a little bit. They'd only won 2 last quarters for the whole of the year, which was equal with North Melbourne. So you thought if Adelaide can just be in touch at three-quarter time, they're going to run away with this game at home with the crowd behind them. And that nearly happened, but that third quarter, 6 goals to 2, was 20 entries that Richmond absolutely got a hold of them. Not sure they've had 20 entries in one quarter all year. So
no, they haven't. It was a PB.
There you go. Bringing the numbers. So look, credit where credit is due for that performance. And I was going into the game going, how is Richmond going to kick a winning score and find a forward winner? I mean, the amount of impact that they had from a scoreboard point of view out of the side, Lafau, Martin, I think second and third for scoreboard impact in their side this year. Without Bolton, there was no Morris Rioli playing in that. Something. How are they going to kick a winning score? Kaczynski's back in the side and he battled early but came good in the second half. So credit where credit is due. You're right. Now, Curvis was enormous. The midfield was terrific. They had some cameos from the likes of McIntosh. Thought they brought enormous pressure. Their ability to possess the ball with short kick, uncontested marks early. Bolter behind them. Can we just have a agreement that Bolton never goes forward again? He's a defender.
Yeah.
So don't try and make him something that he is not. He was excellent last night. He played with composure, had the odd brain fade that we know that he can, and ran under the ball a couple of times. But he is now a defender. And Cumberland's the one that I just want to see play. There's something about Noah Cumberland that I think there's enough talent there that says that just give him the rest of the year, in and out of the side. But he looked pretty dangerous. So that was the good.
Well, before you leave the good, they've got a ripper in Tom Brown.
Yeah.
He's going to be a beauty. The son of Paul Brown, I think. He's 11 intercepts for the night. He's got class. He's got poise. He actually makes the right decision every time. And I know he's a beautiful kick, and everyone talks about his kicking efficiency and his style. He can kick the ball 50 metres off 1 or 2 steps. Like, he's one of those guys. And he sees things that others don't. I think he's going to be an absolute star. And what a steal he is at the selection they got him.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think we'd all sort of wanted to see for the Tigers, the young talent come through on display, and this is like even Campbell, Seth Campbell. So there's some attributes that he's got that you go, okay, that is going to work. You know, for like electric speed, his ability to finish that goal that he kicked at a clutch moment in the last quarter where Adelaide were coming hard, electric speed and good ball. Like Mansell has been around for a while now, but I mean, he looked pretty good last night as well. So I think if you're a Richmond fan, you walk away going, okay, there's a little bit here from a young player point of view that perhaps we hadn't seen consistently, and you go, we can start to build and rebuild this club around the senior players that they've got. But we got to talk about the bad King. Yeah, Adelaide are right now 14th. They may slip to 15th if St Kilda beat Gold Coast on Saturday night off the back of missing the finals last year and the expectations from the club that they were set to play finals in year 5 of a rebuild. They extended the coach way before they needed to, but they did that to alleviate any media pressure and because they believe that he is their next premiership coach. This isn't all on Matthew Nicks. I'm not sitting here suggesting today that Matthew Nicks is the problem, but I think some of his coaching needs to be questioned, and that is, you recruit all these midfielders, and that's not his fault. He doesn't have a huge say in recruiting, clearly. But you recruit midfielders and you play them forward. Like, I look up last night and how Adelaide going to win the game. It's not Sam Berry deep forward, 1 out, inside forward 50, and Fogarty's leading right up the ground. Fogarty was the most dangerous forward. He kicked 3. He had to play deep, Tom Hawkins style. I look at Keys and Rochelle as the deepest options, and you're kicking to players who really are midfielders and are not going to win one-on-ones forward of the ball. They've had all sorts of issues with their interceptors against them this year. You drop Riley O'Brien for a game against Nankervis and you play Kieran Strawn, as I said, and he's gone. Like, he's got sore groin subbed out, and you've got Burgess rucking against Samson Ryan and Nankervis, who was able to have a big rest in the middle of that last quarter. 6 minutes on the bench, came on fresh against Burgess and then Borlase in the ruck, just whacking it 10 metres forward, and the dominance they got from stoppage. So I think we need to question some of the tactics as a whole this year and the way that Matthew Nicks is setting this game up and the personnel and the way that he's deploying his players.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Riley O'Brien omission. I thought it was a strange week to do this, given the fact that Tex Walker and his leadership's not out there. Isaac Rankin and his freak ball winning and score creating not part of this game. So you're losing a lot already. Rory Sloane, his absence is not spoken about enough. So you're losing that leadership, that on-field calming nature of these guys can't be understated. Dawson was huge again last night, but the ruckman just being out there, rather than omit one of your co-vice captains. I think he's one of 3 vice captains at the place. They've got a leadership group of 8. I don't know whether they need a leadership group of 8.
They don't. They definitely
need a leadership group of 2 or 3 because
100%.
really that's all that we see game day. And if they're not leading game day, well, I don't particularly care what they're doing during the week, really, because it's got to be evident game day. So it was a strange, and I'm not having a go at Strawn. He got injured. I thought he showed some signs before that, but he's 28, coming in for his 6th game. I mean, if he was 21 and coming in, you want to see a younger player and you want to go past Riley, that's fine. I understand that. But not the other way around.
Yeah.
Not to get older in the ruck. That makes no sense to me. And they just, I think, have finally seen that the talent is bare in the midfield. I've talked about this vanilla midfield for weeks. Without Rankin, it looks one-paced. They all look the same. There's no one, you're saying they're playing them forward. They have to play them forward because no one says, I'm absolutely your man in the midfield.
Has he given them enough opportunity to do that, though? Because how would you know? Like, last night again.
They've been in the midfield. Barry's been in there.
He went in there, but if you're looking at, like, Schomburg went in there twice. If he's not a midfielder, he's nothing. Like, wing midfield. He's not forward. And once again, you look up and it's Laird and it's Dawson and it's Saligo. And it's the same 3 every time, whereas other clubs just rotate a heap of them. I don't think he's given Rochelle enough opportunity. He took some time to get Saligo in there. He took far too long to get Rankin in there, which you were big on, of course. Everyone was. And he didn't see that. He saw that late. So I don't know. I think he's been far too set in his ways. Like, if Crouch wasn't in there, Crouch plays it last night again.
But Crouch has been good at clearances. I think the Crouch discussion to me is misguided. He's actually been a very good contributor at first possession, get it to the outside. That's his role. He's done that very well. So I'll challenge you on that one. But the players you're talking about, guys like Schomburg's played 60 games of footy. You can't tell me that Matty Nicks has not already assessed that he's not a first-pick midfielder after 60 games. I mean, he might not have been there much last night, but these guys have got to grab their positions. They've got to take control of their own careers. So the coach has to play them.
And I'm with you. It's not all on Matthew Nicks. The criticism I have is there was just no need to re-sign him when they did, and it's not hindsight. I said it at the time. What does that do? Well, that definitely increases the pressure on him, but it's not just on him. How alarming is it then if you're looking at the playing list in year 5 of a rebuild and you're going, who's the next midfield All-Australian other than Isaac Rankin that we've got in this group? Who's the next forward after Walker? I'm telling you, it's not Chris Burgess. Riley Philthorpe, you would hope, but he's played enough footy now and hasn't probably grabbed the opportunity that he's been given. It's probably not Fogarty, albeit he plays his role and is a good third option for them. Then you go down back. Like, who's your next gun running half back that's going to be a weapon for you? Who's your 2 wingers that you're going to build this club around? I hear the desperation of the players that they're chucking big money at in the trade period, but Harrison Petty's not going to solve it for you. Elliot Yeo's going to be handy for a year, but he's not going to be the next premiership midfielder for you. So my question is how alarming is it for the situation that the club is in as a whole, not just the coach, Matty Nicks?
So I think he had a great year last year as a coach to get you to just be one decision out of the finals. In reality, that was the gap. But you're waiting on the next wave of talent to come through. So are they good enough? The answer is probably no. So what do? You can make a whole host of changes with your coaching staff, but you've still got the same talent levels. Yep. The best decisions that they've made are with trades. I mean, they traded for Dawson and they traded for Rankin. So they've had to give up first-round selections for those guys, so that they haven't been free agents. So that impacts your list capabilities anyway. So I think this comes back to those first-round picks. The jury's out on Riley Thilthorpe. I heard a lot through the pre-season. Luke Pedler was pick 11. You got Fisher Mackessy's no longer there.
Ned McHenry's a first-round pick.
As a pick 6. Chase Jones is a pick 9. They're not guys at pick 9 and 16 need to be in your team, not just racking up numbers, but to be significant game-changing midfielders or centre-forward players. They don't have those players. Who's their centre-forward player outside of Rankin? It ain't Rochelle.
It should be, but it's not.
Well, why isn't it Rochelle?
So that being said, and I agree with everything, and I've been big on their recruiting for a long, long time now. Not just this year. It dates back a long time from Jordan Gallucci, who was a first-round pick who should be an absolute gun right now, and he's not. That is all accurate, but that can't. They can't escape the scrutiny of losing to games against teams that they should be ahead of in their development, and that is Hawthorn last week, and they got smacked. Like that year 2 for Hawthorn, you can't compare the list and go, geez, Hawthorn are miles ahead of where we're at. They're a bunch of kids also, and Richmond with the injuries that they've got at home after they've rested a couple. Yeah, Taranto comes back. He hadn't played for 8 weeks. Yeah, Dion Prestia was rested. He's not the Dion Prestia that won 3 flags for Richmond. He's just going and just covering the ground.
They are in bursts, which is what happened last night.
You can't allow Adelaide a let-off because they brought back in Bolton, Prestia and Taranto. They're playing at home. So that's just what I want to make clear. The performances of the last 2 weeks is on the coach, is on the assistant coaches, absolutely is on the players, and they're 2 games that they should have won. The broader picture, I'm with you on where their list is at and where they go to from now. And the panic that I think is setting in with, $3 million for Elliot Yeo, that's probably inflated, but that's the report. And the 2 first-round picks for Harrison Petty, they have to go to the draft. They can't be trading their picks away now.
No, Harrison, that would be the worst decision they could make for this list.
Yeah.
Is to spend money on a 2 first-round picks or even a first-round pick this year. They need to go to the draft and get a game-changing centre-forward mid. There's a lack of them on their list right now, and Rankin's going to need help. And I don't even know if it's Rochelle. I don't see enough there to say he's going to be an absolute top liner. And at that pick level, at that status, and the way that the carry-on was at the start of last year, the Rankin and Rochelle show, where's that gone? I'm sick of hearing about what he's saying. I want to see what he does.
Yeah. Well, and they've signed him for 10 years, so I mean he's not going anywhere. So
what do you do? So all this said, let's just say you're 100% correct on everything you've said. What are the moves that need to be made?
Well, I think the Crows fans would want change from the people who are making these decisions around picking the players that they continually get wrong. It's really difficult when you're talking about players that people whose job is to sit out there in the cold and watch under-16 football. It's a pretty lonely existence. I get that. And they do it and they feel like they're doing their best job. But after a 10-year period of being in the role and you haven't had success, you have to go look and review the selections that they've made and the list management calls that they have made and who's making them. I think that would be what Adelaide fans would expect. So, and there's rarely change when it comes to list. It's the most secure job that you can have in football.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, because you got 10 years before you work out whether anyone's any good that you've picked.
No, they don't. You set fire to the Kangaroos people after about 5. I don't know if you got 10. I don't know if you got 10.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that was.
I don't know if you got 10.
It was a fair time.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know if you got 10. But I'm with you that something needs to shift. Something needs to shift. This model's had 10, and maybe it's just been too settled. Maybe that area of the business has been too settled. We're doing this in retrospect and in hindsight, so it's easy now today to say these things. The real skill is to work it out in September, October when you can actually alter things and change. They've got it right with Hinge. I think Hinge is going to be a beauty long term. So they're flanker types for me. Michelani down back, I really like what they're doing. I like their key posts down back corners. I think they're okay in the back half of the field. Post-Tex and the wild card midfielder is an absolute must for them.
Now a ruck as well. Now rucks aren't hard to get. You can go and plug
Easy
the
to get a
second
ruck.
from another club, but that becomes a priority for them. Clearly, they don't have the belief in Riley O'Brien because you're leaving him out now, so they got to move past him. Strawn's 28, 29, so he's not a young ruckman coming through. Need to find a ruckman. Absolutely need to draft that dangerous midfield. I'd love to see a dangerous half back. I think their wings are an issue. So, yeah, carnage everywhere. Richmond fans, you can have your say, of course. That was the good second win for the year, leading into Dustin Martin's 300th next weekend, which is going to be just enormous. And, of course, it's 4grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. Who is in your gun, David King?
I'll tell you who I'm putting in the gun. A guy that's going okay. Just going okay. And a team that's just going okay. The GWS Giants are just going okay. Mm-hmm. And I think they need a retrospective game from Tom Green. A game that just rips the heart out of the midfield of the Hawks, who are low-flying. Newcomb, Day, the contributors in there have been sensational. Warple's had a great year. But the Giants need their bull to get back to that contested, ball-winning, clearance-separating, game-breaking mode. He's going okay. He's having his 6 or 7 a week.
I agree with that.
I need a dozen. We need a dozen clearances from him and just rip the heart out of the Hawks.
Yeah, I reckon there was a game last year where he kicked 3 against the Bulldogs and just was like, this guy is emerging as one of the absolute superstars. Yep, round 8 last year against the Bulldogs. He had 38 and kicked 3. And
8 clearances.
Wow. Who's this guy? But yeah,
three clearances last week. Now, I just want to see him go bang because they need it. They need to get rolling.
At risk of you getting a little bit grumpy at me, I'm just, and we haven't spoken a lot about North this year for obvious reasons, but I'm just putting them in the gun this week because I don't believe any team now with the competition as competitive as it is will go through a season undefeated. So North will win some games of football, but there's probably only 3 opportunities left to win a game of football, and one of them is this week. Now, the next one comes in round 21, but that's against Richmond, and I don't know if Richmond have got all their players back by that stage, then that may be a bit more difficult. And then West Coast again in Tassie in round 22. This may be one of the last opportunities that North have to win a game of football. No Harley Reid, no Tim Kelly. Go there on a mission and get the first win of the year. Because even the teenagers at the Giants and Gold Coast were winning games in their first year. So, Kingy, we can't accept a winless season. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's not many opportunities left for your Kangaroos to get one. Do you agree? No,
I 100% agree. We always want to see competitiveness, and with that should come a victory every now and then. No, that's a good in the gun for you, and I think that's valid. I mean, at some point, and again, it comes back down to the leaders, like particularly the ones in the midfield, LDU and those guys having a big day. Like a Tom Green, we're saying, go and rip the heart out. LDU, go and rip the heart out of a banged up Eagles midfield.
Yep. All right. Who's in the gun? 0433 98 11 16. Where did we get to on the criteria of what you can do after a game?
So just tick it off
closer
for me,
to bed down what's acceptable?
You're allowed to smile, but not for 5 minutes?
No. If you lose and it's a bad loss, I don't want to see you smiling. I certainly don't want to see players lingering in the middle of the ground, shaking hands, discussing what they had for breakfast. I just don't want to see any lingering. So it's Mark Williams' rule, and this is why I'm a bit scarred.
You've got a rule.
Yeah, we had a rule. Yeah, so
what's your rule?
This is why I'm a bit scarred from it, and this is why I'm an expert. If you lost, you make a straight beeline to the change rooms and you congregate just in front of the dugout together. Do not deviate from your position where you are to the dugout. If someone comes to shake your hand, you can shake their hand. But don't deviate off your line to go and seek out a handshake.
Wow.
Okay.
And that was one of them. What about a former teammate?
No, if he comes to you,
you can't go to him.
No, you can't. You can't go to him after a loss. On the plane after an away game, no laughing, no joking.
On the plane.
No. You bury yourself in some shut eye and your earphones, but you don't want to see the general public seeing you in a laughing manner after you've suffered a poor loss and they're hurting on the way home with you. Some supporters. So. That's another one of the rules.
From siren to change room, give me a minute range.
From what?
From the siren going
Yeah.
Game over.
Okay.
You've just lost by 30 points.
Within a reasonable time, so 90 seconds, I reckon.
90 seconds.
So make the way off the ground.
What about if you see family in the crowd? Can you give them a wave? Can
No,
you say,
I mean you got your
friends,
you've got your family's
family?
numbers, you've got their numbers. You can contact them after the game.
And if you win, all this out the door doesn't matter.
Anything goes if you win. Apart from sort of the ridiculous stuff like saying light work in front of a GoPro and just getting it just a touch ahead of yourself. So there's some restrictions on
how
winning as well.
How are you supposed to be balanced when you're supposed to be as even as go into a football club and not know whether they've won or lost? For you, that's completely out the door.
No, I'm not suggesting you do cartwheels on the ground after you've won, but you can be a bit more jovial than if you've lost, clearly. But can we certainly not have guards of honour for Reece Stanley playing game 200? Like, come on, where has this come into? When has this ever? Game 300, yep. Last game, yep. After a significant career, yep. I'm okay with the cheering off if it's your team and that's a celebration of your milestone. That's fine, but the guard of honour. I mean, how nice are we getting, and how nice are Adelaide? And they showed it again last night.
I'll tell you what's nice. Be nice if you back the USA in the T20 overnight. Can we might have to. Someone's just sent through the Pakistan cricket team should be in the gun. They lost the USA
You're
in
kidding.
the T20 World Cup last night. You reckon there's some? I don't like to cast aspersions, but there has been in the past. There has
We're
been
not
some
suggesting
things
any of that this
go
morning.
on. To tell you what, I just want to start a conversation or create a discussion with yourself. Chris Scott, recognised as probably the best coach in the AFL over the last decade, really, but he's been right at the pointy end. I think it'll be the most critiqued game for the back half of the season, Sydney versus Geelong. What does the coach set up against Warner, Heaney, Goulden, and this ball movement machine that is the Sydney Swans? How does he attack them?
Well, I'm looking forward to. You'll be there. So you have the full picture of it, which is great, and we can do this. And I'm looking forward to watching you during the week do this because I don't know. Is it just we just have to focus on us? Because I don't think there's any point trying to.
That doesn't work, does it?
No, you're not going to negate all three. And at the SCG, with centre bounce being as important as it is, just whether, and Jono sort of pointed this out during the week, whether Jeremy Cameron just plays a bit deeper this way. SCG, short ground, can they get it going from centre bounce? Have Cameron and Hawkins deeper and maybe just go all in on their stuff, not worry about the opposition too much, which is easier said than done. So I don't know what plans he's got. Grindmire's got to get back involved. They've got to get Cameron and Hawkins going. They got to get DeConing going as an interceptor behind the ball. Tom Stewart's got to play well. A lot's going to have to go right.
I think it could be the first time we see two tags. I really believe
the double
Blitzar's-
tag.
Yeah. Oh, because their midfield is not a weapon for them anyway. It's not a strength area.
No.
So they in the middle they've been mauled, and they've scored through their half forwards getting up the ground and charging back. So I think you could see Blitzars versus Heaney go everywhere with him. If he goes forward, you can go back. He's been an Australian.
This is just absolute music to me. A double tag. Like
A double.
I'm that excited by this.
The sort of stuff that
don't get
wouldn't
me
allow you-
excited. Like I will not go to sleep tonight.
It's like
I will
some
be
sort of
having
aphrodisiac for
dreams,
Cornesy.
not wet dreams. Dreams about the double tag.
Oh boy.
This is like a nasal spray for Cornesy. But I think O'Connor could go to Warner. So if you do the double tag in the middle, I don't think it's going to affect their plans too much or disrupt what they do in there anyway.
Looking forward to that. I can't wait for that game. It's going to be a ripper. Hey, I was just the footy last night. I wanted to ask the question: 0433 98 11 16. Players who just make you feel safe. That you know when that player goes near the footy or is in a critical situation that largely they're going to do exactly the right thing. And Liam Baker is one of those. Every time he got the ball last night, you just felt safe. And Richmond fans must have felt the same. Or if he's got to go back with the flight of the ball, his ability just to get a hand in or get a spoil in or a smother in or a hand in or win a big ground ball, regardless of where. I love Liam Baker. I think he's going to be a big loss to Richmond when he leaves at the end of the year, if that's the way that it's going, which it looks likely. But 0433 98 11 16, the players that when they get the footy in their hands, as a supporter sitting in the stands or watching on TV, you feel safe.
I'm going to put Tom Brown in there. Not Tom Brown.
No.
Tom Brown from Richmond. That's a good call. Yeah, he's got one of the great fake handballs in the game. He's a fakie. He pretends he's going to handball it, then reels it back in, and someone jumps, and he's around
Yeah,
him.
he
and
got
gone.
stung for a throw last night. He was furious about it.
Stiff.
He's like,
Yeah,
I
wasn't
got a
he?
hand to that. I'm Liam Baker. I didn't throw
What
it.
do you expect from Melbourne on Monday?
Now,
And secondary question, while you think about that, is Clayton Oliver definitely in there 22?
That's a big one. That's a big.
Is he definitely there?
I'm not at the level where I'm ready to leave him out of that side yet, but it's at the level where you need to see him get going more. And his numbers look fine, but every midfielder's numbers look fine. If you spend the majority of your time, everyone's getting the footy. No impact, Oliver, isn't it? No damage at all.
Yeah, and not a lot of contested.
Nothing. Yeah.
They've taken the game into the uncontested brand, and it doesn't suit Clayton. I'm not blaming him specifically, but he just looks so out of sorts and so fumbly at the moment. But what do you expect from them as a group? I mean, we all talk, the response, we want the response. But what do you see the response looking like against Collingwood, who are banged up with numbers, but still performing reasonably well?
Yeah, they've been admirable, Collingwood, with what they've done. So I want to see more from the players underneath Gawn and Petrarca. Let's see what Sparrow's got. Let's see Viney absolutely back to his absolute. Can Stephen May actually bend over and pick up the ball this week? Because he couldn't. He had concrete boots on. Can he get rid of the concrete boots? Can he move around the ground? Can he be aggressive? Can he attack the footy? Can he back himself? Can he hit the kicks that we know that he can hit? So I think there's can Bailey Fritsch deliver? Because I think can Cozzy Pickett light it up? Because I see glimpses of Cozzy and they're trying to get him going. They're doing the right. They're putting him on ball and won the first clearance last week. Oh, this could be a big Cozzy game. It's never a big Cozzy game where he rips the heart out of the opposition. So I'm looking for players from 3 to 10, their best players underneath Gawn and Petrarca actually standing up and suggesting to us that performance last week was unacceptable and we're going to get a big result at a big game in front of a whole stack of people in the crowd and watching on TV. And lastly, for me on the agenda, we finally got the score reviews right, I reckon. I don't reckon we had one score review last night. Not one. Is it the first game this year where a goal umpire hasn't gone to the score review?
Yeah, it's a good one.
They're reviewing it after goals better now. I think they've got sharper eyes in the arc, and they're alert to the fact that, hang on, the goal umpire's called goal, but let's check it. And if it's not right, they call it back in between a goal. So I think we're starting to get the right balance of when and when not to use the score review.
Just to get a little bit of feedback from 787, you're a moron, King. Now, can you be more specific? Because I need more information than that. So, on which topic was I a moron? Because there's multiple topics where I can be a moron.
So I wonder, Gary and Tim have the knob file, and I've been wanting to do this for a couple of years.
We embrace.
No, but I want our own sort of version
of the knob file.
Just sort of a sub column to the side about maybe like the sin bin in rugby. Like, you're not there forever. You're not
a week.
You're not
2 weeks?
tarnished with being a knob forever, but you just need a spell. So we might come up with.
Who would you rather be? Who would you rather be this weekend? Would you rather be Adam Simpson losing to North Melbourne, or Alistair Clarkson losing a winnable game?
I'd rather be Adam. I'd rather be Adam Simpson
losing.
Because I think he's. Well, I had to pick one.
I know.
Well, if I said Alistair Clarkson, you would have said, "Well,
what would the ramifications of that be at season?
Not as much, because at least they've got 3, and they've got no Harley Reid. I know you're relying on a first-year player and all of that, but I think they've just got a few more excuses.
My friend the morons just come back to me. I didn't say that we're dropping Clayton Oliver, but I just say, is it like the form that he's in? It's just a poser.
It was a reasonable question. You didn't say, I want Oliver out. You posed the question, is he in the best 22 with the way he's playing at the moment? And I paused. I was like, it's a good question.
It's just a discussion.
It's food for thought, which is what we do, and you can have your say.